G'day golfers! Today we're going to show you the difference between playing a chip shot and a bunker shot. Well, you may figure you already know the difference, but what if I said to you that there were 5 different fundamentals that you really need to take notice of between chipping and bunker shots that are really different? Now, we're confident that this is really going to be an epiphany for a lot of golfers. So to help the message get out there to more golfers, then please smash that like button and share it with your buddies, anyone who you feel can really do with some help around the greens. I'm going to use a couple of different clubs for these shots. I've got an 8-iron and a sand wedge. And stick around to the end because we've got a real doozy of a bunker shot that I'd really like to show you. It'll knock your socks off. I'm Glen Haynes with Aussie Golf Pros, where we help you make the most of your game. We're out on the gorgeous 5th hole at Monash Country Club. We've got a great view of the Pacific Ocean there, but we have a basic chip shot of around 12 metres. Now we need to set up to this differently to a full wedge shot, and that's the mistake I see a lot of club golfers make. They set up to the ball as if they were going to hit it 100 metres or something like that. But we need to set up differently with these finesse shots, and that's fundamental number 1 is your stance. We want the stance to be narrower than a normal shot, and we're going to get a lot closer to the golf ball for a chip shot. That helps us to get down the grip a little bit and get a lot more control over these short shots. There were a couple of similarities to the chip shot. Ball position still slightly forward in my stance, and the club face was still slightly open to just give me a little bit of extra height and spin. Weight, again, for both of them, slightly forward in the stance, so maybe 60% on that front foot, and that's not really going to change from chipping to bunker shots. So there's something that's the same. So with the chip shot, I was very close to the ball. I was coming down the grip a long way, and my stance was very narrow. With the bunker shot, further away, wiggling the feet in, getting very low, and using a lot of space. Fundamental number 2 is we want the shaft angle to be slightly different with a chip shot to a bunker shot. With a chip shot, we want the shaft angle slightly forward. That's going to help us to brush that grass under the ball, and we're going to get clean contact with the golf ball. If you have your shaft behind the golf ball like this, it's very easy to thin shots or hit the grass first, and that's not what we want with these chip shots. We want some spin and some control, so we want to make good contact. The shaft for a bunker shot, more vertical. That helps the back of the club, the bounce of the sand wedge, work through the soft sand very effectively. Fundamental 3 is wrist hinge. Should you hinge your wrists? Well, for a short chip like this, only 12 metres, I've got sand wedge. I don't need to hinge my wrists. With the bunker shot, it's hinging the wrists, a lot longer swing, more power required because the sand's going to absorb a lot of that energy, and it's a completely different length of swing, both in the backswing and the follow through. For a chip shot, you just take a backswing like this, and we see this every week. The only way to get the ball to only go 12 metres is to decelerate, because there's a lot of energy stored up here with this wrist hinge and big backswing. You know, we can hit the ball 50, 60 metres with that backswing. We're only trying to hit it 12, so that's going to cause some deceleration and some mishits. We don't need wrist hinge for these little shots. Fundamental difference number 4, interaction with the turf. With a chip shot, we're brushing the grass underneath the golf ball and we're hearing that click as the club hits the golf ball. With a bunker shot, it's a splash sound. We're only hearing that sand, and the sand is carrying the ball out onto the green. So it's a completely different interaction with club, ball, and the ground that we're on. And the 5th and final, probably the most important difference between chipping and bunker shots is club selection. How do we choose which club to chip with? How do we choose which club to play a bunker shot with? Well, if you're in a sand trap, you're probably just going to reach for a sand wedge. And I'm going to show you in a minute that's not always the best policy. Most golfers get closer to the green and then they go to sand wedge or lob wedge. Further back, they might use a 9-iron, 8-iron. We want to get out of that thinking and decide what club you're going to use based on how far we want the ball to roll. This shot here, 12 metres, I want the ball to carry in the air around 8 metres and then roll 4. This is around a 10-metre bunker shot, so sand wedge is great. What about if I've got a 20 or 30-metre bunker shot? Then we see a real difference. If you're enjoying this video, then please smash that like button, and if you're new to this channel, then consider subscribing and hit the little bell in the corner for notifications of our new videos. Around the same distance, but I'm going to choose a different club. Why? Because I can. I have this green to work with. Yes, I could hit sand wedge again and fly it up towards the pin and carry it 8 metres and let it roll 4 metres. But a safer option, and for most golfers a visually easier option, is to just land it on the edge of the green and let it roll the rest of the way. So we're choosing the club based on how far we want the ball to roll, not on how far we want the ball to go. And that's the key difference to bunker shots. So this time I have an 8-iron. I'm going to use a shorter swing because I only need to carry the ball a few meters, get it over the fringe, and let it roll the rest of the way. Exactly the same setup. I'm going to get a narrow stance, close to the golf ball, and I'm going to come down the grip a little bit. I've still got the ball position slightly forward, and I've still got a little bit of weight forward. Let's see what this one does. So I only had to carry it a few meters, and just past the pin. So you can see it's the same action, it's just less power because the ball is rolling a lot further. And obviously if you go further back, then you need a little bit longer swing. But the key difference is the club selection. I've chosen an 8-iron. It's a lot easier shot than trying to hit sand wedge all the time, which is what a lot of golfers do. So if you have green to work with, use it. Choose a club that can allow that ball to roll, and that's going to be especially useful if you want the ball to run up a tier, a slope in the green or something like that. Shot of 35 meters from the bunker. Now most golfers are going to reach for the sand wedge because they're in the sand. The sand wedge is great for those 10, 15, and if you're strong enough, maybe even 20-meter shots. But the difference with club selection for bunker shots is you're limited by how far a sand wedge can go. Unless you really want to try to hit the ball cleanly or maybe take a little bit of sand, they're high-risk shots, they really are. So I don't have sand wedge, I have 8-iron. That's right, 8-iron. I'm going to play this shot pretty much the same as I would a sand wedge, except I'm going to open the face a little bit more. What that does, not for more loft, because I actually want the ball to go further, what it does is by opening the face, that drops the back of the 8-iron down a little bit and adds a little bit of bounce to the shot. And you know how much I love bounce. So we are expecting a little bit of a fade shot on this, but it really is going to be a lot easier for me to hit the ball 35 meters with an 8-iron than it would be with a sand wedge. Everything else is going to be the same. Going to be a long way away from the golf ball. I'm wiggling down, nice firm, stable base. Going to hinge those wrists, going to splash the sand, and I'm going to have that shaft vertical as well. You can see how much height I get, even though it's an 8-iron, because you're hitting the sand, not the ball. I've opened the face a little bit, adds a little bit more loft, sure. But that's a much easier shot, just splashing an 8-iron shot, rather than trying to slam a sand wedge or try to really nip it. And that's the key difference. So club selection with your chipping is based on how far you want the ball to roll, and club selection from the sand is based on how far you want the ball to fly. You didn't know an 8-iron could be so versatile, did you? So there are 5 fundamental differences between chipping and bunker shots that you really can't ignore. But clearly the 5th one is the most important: club selection. You can make life very difficult for yourself or very easy for yourself around the greens. It's your choice. Now, I talked about using the bounce, so we've got a video up here to help you with your chipping on when and when not to use the bounce. And over this side, we've got a bunker shot video for hard surfaces, for hard sand. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Are you the best golfer you can be? Oh, crap.